As of the FNAF chapter, Dead by Daylight boasts a massive roster of 40 killers. That's a pretty sizable amount, especially when you take into consideration each of those 40 has their own unique powers, add-ons, perks, cosmetics, except for Freddy, and more. Despite this, however, we still receive new killers regularly, and this will probably continue for several years at least. Say what you will about DBD, but it's probably not dying for a long while. I mean, 9 years in, and just 2 months ago hit the all-time peak for concurrent players on Steam. But I digress. The point is, we've got a lot of killers to go, roughly half of those being licensed, and that's where today's video comes in. I came up with a list of 10 potential killers to add to the ever-growing roster, and I'll at least briefly explain why I think they'd be worthy additions to the game. While this is primarily based off desire and not likeliness, I think all my picks have at least a chance of happening. I have some other characters in mind that, being brutally honest, will probably never get added, but that's a story for another day. For now, here's 10 killers who'd be awesome in DBD. Starting off at number 1, a fairly popular pick, Predator. Just as a quick aside, by the way, this is in no particular order. Predator is undoubtedly one of the most requested collabs for DBD, and for pretty good reason. He's debatably one of the most iconic faces in horror, more than deserving of a slot in the Horror Hall of Fame. The franchise had a pretty strong start back in 1987, and is still doing great in more recent years too. Unlike other certain horror franchises. Anyway, Predator often goes hand in hand with Alien the Xenomorph, both licenses being owned by the same company. They have 2 separate movies focused on them facing off, and one is often accompanied by the other in video game collabs. But why not continue that trend with Dead by Daylight? Even aside from all of that, the character of the Yacha is more than fitting for the fog, often obsessed with living for the hunt, the chase if you will. It's not that unlikely at all either. Former licensing situation and hype for the potential collab in mind. If you want a more detailed explanation, feel free to check out my video 2 years ago on the matter. It is a fair bit dated, but it still holds up relatively well in my opinion. Chapter 30 speculation aside, obviously. Next, at the number 2 spot, we have another popular pick, Pennywise. Irrefutably one of the most recognizable killers in all of horror. Plus, Matthew Cote himself has gone on record saying he'd be more than welcome in Dead by Daylight, an honor shared only by Jason Voorhees. So I don't exactly think it's necessary to convince you he'd be great for the game. I mean, hey, if you disagree, argue with the head of licensing for Dead by Daylight, not me. Moving on to the chances of it actually happening, just a few months ago I would have said slim to none. But while I wouldn't say it's super likely now or anything, there have been 2 semi-recent developments that changed things for me. One, the soon-to-be-released Welcome to Derry, which actually isn't that far off from Chapter 38's originally planned release. 2, the Pennywise YouTube's figure that dropped a few months ago on May 20th. Both of these things prove the license is currently active, the latter even extending that to collabs. Granted, this is a physical figurine and not a video game character, but a collab nonetheless. For number 3, we have the first character from a license that's already in DBD, though it won't be the last, Vecna. The one from Stranger Things, not the one from D&D we already have. Despite the potential confusion there be from 2 Vecnas in the game, I'd say Netflix's version certainly deserves to be his own killer. The first Stranger Things chapter was one of the most successful this game has seen. The trailer for it is the most viewed video on the official DBD channel, and by nearly 1.5 million. Plus, while the Demogorgon made the most sense at the time, quick spoiler warning for Season 4 of Stranger Things, the overarching antagonist of the entire series undoubtedly makes sense now. I mean, we hadn't even seen their Vecna at the time. As for the possibility of him actually coming in, it's looking a bit bleak. I mean, we've already seen them collab before, but we haven't gotten anything new for this collab in over 4 years. Yes, it's been that long, I checked. It did return to the game, sure, but that also comes with the fact it left the game. Not to mention that reunion is just a few months shy of 2 years old, and as I said previously, we've gotten nothing new in that time. So while a Stranger Things Part 2 would be awesome, don't get your hopes up. Sincerely, someone who has his hopes up. Moving on, a bit of an oddball if you will for number 4, a Death Angel from A Quiet Place. Now, I can already see that comment you're typing. Koro, aren't they blind? And to that I say, yes, absolutely. That's one of the main reasons they're on this list. Now, I'm no game developer and I won't pretend to be. I have absolutely no idea how this would actually work. But if they could make it work, wouldn't this killer have a super unique power? They probably wouldn't make it full on blind, but a power relying on primarily audio would be pretty cool. We already have something like that with Spirit, and as much as I don't love going against her, she does have a fairly special power. All that aside, while I'm not sure the franchise is iconic or anything, it's certainly not doing bad for itself. And I'm pretty confident in saying a Quiet Place DVD chapter wouldn't do half bad either. The series has already dipped its toes into gaming too, with The Road Ahead. To be completely honest, I don't know anything about this game, but I thought it was worth mentioning regardless. Now for this collab's likeliness, there's not a whole lot to say. There's nothing substantial going for it, but nothing going against it either. Keep in mind, by the way, I said something very similar about Alien back when I was speculating Chapter 29, which turned out to be Alien. In summary, don't expect it, but don't forget about it either. At the halfway mark, I'd like to simultaneously tackle number 5 and number 6 as they're from the same franchise, Jack Baker and Mr. X. Again, I can see your comments already. A third Resident Evil chapter? Seriously? Before any other license even gets a second? And to that I say, not exactly. In Jack Baker's case in particular, they could instead be legendary skins for existing killers. While I wouldn't complain about him being his own killer, he's almost perfect for a hillbilly skin. Trust me, if you've played Resident Evil 7, you'll agree with me. And while his pick doesn't fit as well as Jack's, Mr. X being a Nemesis skin isn't super unfitting. They are both versions of Umbrella's Tyrant series, and while the tentacle wouldn't exactly fit, the zombies are more than in character for RE2's main antagonist. Skin potential aside, both of these fantastic villains absolutely deserve to be in Dead by Daylight. This is usually the part where I go into the why, but if I did that, we'd be here all day. If you want to know my reasoning though, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll probably get back to you with a whole paragraph gushing about RE7, and then another whole paragraph gushing about RE2. But I digress. In terms of actually getting added, I'd say both are fairly likely. Obviously, the license is already in the game, but unlike Stranger Things, we still receive semi-frequent content for it. In fact, Resident Evil has more content in DBD than any other license. Hell, it probably has more than the second and third most combined. Also, if you're even half as big of an RE fan as I am, feel free to check out this video I did of it in DBD. Okay, that's the last plug to another video I'll do today, I promise. Next, another out there pick at the number 7 spot, and a character I've even done a full video on before. Homelander. This is my third time in a row saying this, and I don't mean to wear it out, but I can already see your comments. I mean, as I just said, I've done a video on him in DBD before. I got those comments in, and I'm sure I'll get them again. But as I said at the end of my last segment, I don't want to plug another video, so I'll do my best to summarize my points there instead. The Boys is not a horror franchise, but neither is Tokyo Ghoul, neither is Tomb Raider, neither is Dungeons & Dragons, and that was an anniversary chapter. The Boys has something else in common with all those franchises. It has elements of horror. Alright, I want you to do me a huge favor and close your eyes for me. Picture this. A psychotic, sick nutjob who enjoys killing people. He does it regularly. An egotistical maniac who sees himself as powerful on top of the food chain. He doesn't really care about anyone else, and he will kill anyone else. Now, who are you picturing? A serial killer maybe? A slasher? A killer who is either in Dead by Daylight already or would fit seamlessly? Well, I just described Homelander to you. You can open your eyes now, by the way. I could keep going, but I still have 3 more potential killers to tackle, so I'll move on to likeliness. Now, I wouldn't say he's high up there or anything, but at the very least The Boys is no stranger with video game collabs. I mean, they even did a crossover with RE6, and that game's in Dead by Daylight. Again though, not crazy likely or anything. For number 8, let's talk about Slenderman. Maybe this is a hot take, but I consider him more than deserving of the word iconic. Despite not really having one himself, he's one of the most recognizable faces in horror games. He also even has his own movie. Not a good one, but it is a movie. Point being, he's more than popular enough to not only warrant his inclusion in the Horror Hall of Fame, but I'm confident in saying the chapter would do very well. There was a potential caveat with Slenderman needing to interact with survivors, but this was pretty much completely solved years ago with Sadako. If you haven't noticed, she never touches survivors, not once. They could do something similar with Slenderman, like having him use his tentacles to attack and carry survivors, which, in fact, another killer already does. This is more of a side tangent if anything, but I'd love to see Behaviour incorporate pages into his power, either as an additional objective, or a complete substitute to generators. Next, the chances of this collab happening. And being completely honest, I'm not too sure. Slenderman's licensing situation is fairly complicated, and even if I was knowledgeable on it, I'm sure it'd take too long to even mildly go over for a video like this. From what I do know though, I'll just leave it at I think he's more likely than unlikely. Nearing the end with the second to last, number 9, the Ink Demon. While maybe not quite at the level of FNAF or Slenderman, Bendy and the Ink Machine is easily one of the most popular indie horror game franchises. Perhaps you could even remove indie from that statement and it'd still ring true. While this next point isn't advocating for the Ink Demon himself per se, I'd love to see a DBD map in the style of Bendy. I can almost guarantee it would instantly become my favorite map. Actually, scratch that, second favorite map. For the character himself, he quite literally chases down the player multiple times, and you can get out of said chases by hiding in little miracle stations, much in the way you might use lockers in Dead by Daylight. I don't want to spend too long on how likely he is to actually become a killer, but long story short, it's looking far from bleak. The creator of the franchise himself, the Meatly, has gone on record multiple times stating he's very open to collaborating with Behaviour, and with how successful I'm sure a Bendy chapter would be, it's hard to imagine him being turned down. Last but certainly not least, perhaps the strangest pick of this whole video, at the number 10 spot, we have Carnage. Like I said with Homelander, if you really boil down his character, Carnage is just another maniac who relishes in murder and torture. I mean, we have Ken Kennedy as a killer in Dead by Daylight, and as far as I'm aware, he's not even a cold-blooded killer. Behaviour molded him that way to fit the game. So if they can take a character who's not a psychopath and turn him into one, they can put one in who's already a psychopath. Now for the elephant in the room, actually licensing him. I mean, this is a Marvel character, hell a Spider-Man villain we're talking about. Does he really have any chance of getting added? Well, personally, I wouldn't count him out quite yet. Remember when I talked about the licensing situation between Predator and Alien, them being owned by the same company? That company is none other than 20th Century Studios, which itself is owned by Disney. Carnage is, as I said previously, a Marvel character. And who owns Marvel? You guessed it, none other than Disney. Look, all I'm saying is they've opened that door before, and clearly, with DBD having just received a new skin for Alien, that door is still very much open. As is the case with other characters I mentioned, however, I don't think this is solid evidence Carnage is coming soon or anything, or at all for that matter. All I'm saying is keep him in the back of your mind. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, as it helps way more than you might think. Only 6% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed too, so I'd really appreciate it. If you have anything to say about the video, the list itself, or you want to ask what my favorite cheese is, shout to Smoke Cheese Addict, feel free to leave a comment. I do my best to respond to at least most of them. I also stream Dead by Daylight among other games over on Twitch, though they're also on this channel if you don't want to move platforms. And if you really want to show your support, consider becoming a channel member. For just $3 a month, you get a bunch of perks. In fact, you could have seen this video early if you remember. On that note, massive shout out to Stannis Swag, currently my own channel member. Sorry to interrupt my usual outro stuff, but one final thing before I go. I'm trying to full commit to weekly uploads now, if not more, every Saturday at 1 PM EST. Hopefully I managed to get this video out by then. It's currently early Thursday morning as I'm writing this sentence to put things into perspective. And this is not in the script at all, but by early Thursday morning, I mean August 24th and 49. So yeah, this video did not get out when I wanted it to, that's for damn sure. But hopefully it gets out this Saturday. Hopefully. It's currently September 14th, just for reference. You see, about that, and I know I've already asked, but if you not only want to support me but also get notified of these weekly uploads, consider subscribing with notifications on. It is free, and you can always change your mind later. But regardless, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.